So here's the chokecherries that I'm going to turn into syrup. First thing will be they're frozen right now. First thing will be to get them out of these bags into this pot. And however high the chokecherries come up to, I will add just a little bit of water, just a little bit over the top of them. I'll show you what that looks like once I get it done. I'm probably, since they're frozen and they're kind of in brick form, I will probably have to put just a little bit of water in the bottom, put a lid on top, and let them kind of defrost before I add the final water that I need to add to cook the chokecherries down. I'll kind of show you what that looks like. It actually worked out really well for the first bag. They just fell apart. Put into the pot. So there's the second bag. I'm going to add a little, oh, there's one. I don't want to lose any. There we go. I'm going to save this bag. I'll wash it out and I will use it again next year for chokecherries. I don't throw anything away if I can help it. So now it's time to add water. There's bottle number 1. Ooh, Kara's not going to be too happy if I use all of her bottled water for chokecherry syrup. That won't be too bad. That's pretty close. So I'm actually going to call that good. So I am going to get that to come up and cook. I'll start it out on high and turn it down here in a few minutes. So I'm going to bring this up to a boil. I will let it boil for just about a half an hour. Then I'll know that the chokecherries, I'll know they're done when the majority of them are split open. And then I will let them cool off and run them through cheesecloth because I don't have a sieve to run them through, so I will use cheesecloth on mine. Okay, I'll show you. It's getting warmer. It's not quite at a boil yet, but it'll get there soon. But it is getting warmer. So right there, it's not quite at a boil yet. It's starting to bubble here and there. It's a lot to warm up, especially since all of the berries were frozen solid. So we're just going to let it keep cooking and moving right along though. Keep it covered so it will boil. This little stove has a hard time keeping things boiling if you don't have them covered. Okay, so I am attempting to juice the chokecherries. About 2 scoops in the cheesecloth. Wrap it up. I recommend wearing rubber gloves to help alleviate pink hands. This chokecherry syrup will definitely dye anything it touches. Chokecherry juice. And I'm just trying to wring it out as best as I can. I'm definitely not going to get it all, but I'm going to get enough of it. That's why you pick extra berries. Wringing it out as good as I can. And then, if you're squeamish at all, the comment I'm about to make might send you in a tailspin. But this looks like the innards of an animal's stomach. I'm not getting all of the juice out, but I'm getting the majority of it. And I just come back over, spread it out, and do it all over again. You want to put a lot in there, but if you do a lot in there, it's really hard to wring them out. So smaller amounts I found is better for me. Looks almost like pomegranate juice this time of year. Ooh, now that's the end of this cheesecloth. I ripped my cheesecloth. So I'll be replacing it with new cheesecloth. The end of this one. Okay, that's good enough. So this is the chokecherry juice after it's been strained. I'm just going to bring it up to a boil. It's about a gallon of chokecherry juice here. So that will mean 10 pounds of sugar, which is a lot of sugar. Wow. But that is what the recipe calls for. So I'll get this up to a boil, and then I'll start adding in the sugar, stirring it constantly, bring the whole thing up to a rolling boil. And then I will be ready to start canning it. Leave it at a rolling boil for about 10 minutes. And then it'll be ready to be put into jars and canned. And I'll just water bath it. And once I start adding sugar to this, then I will stir it constantly so that the sugar doesn't burn on the bottom. For right now, I'm just kind of stirring it up a little bit. More just to show you the juice in the pot. It's got a long ways to go to get to a boil, so I will leave it at that and let her get to a boil. Okay, so now I have added the sugar. It was at a boil. Bringing it back up to a boil now. It's a lot of sugar to add in there. So we'll get it back up to a boil. I have the jars in the oven, heating them up to 250 degrees so that they will be sterilized. They'll be in the oven for 10 or 15 minutes to sterilize them. And then I will have to get a pot of water boiling so that I can do a water bath after I get this stuff put into the jars. So I have a lot of work I still have to do, and I need to get to busy and get all that stuff rounded up and caught up and get a pot of water starting to boil. Plus I have to pretty much try to keep this stirring the whole time because I've added the sugar now. I don't feel any grains or anything in there, so it kind of all dissolved right into the juice, but I don't want any of it burning on the bottom of the pan. So it is starting to boil now. I will let this boil down for a while. It's still too runny. I need to boil off some of the moisture so it'll thicken up a little bit more. Probably 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes, and we'll see. I want it to thicken up quite a bit from this position, from where it is right now. But it is starting to boil. That's a good sign. We're getting closer. So I'll just keep stirring and we'll let this boil down. Okay, my timer just went off for 15 minutes of boiling. So I am going to turn the heat off and get ready to start jarring these up. It still seems kind of runny, but my first attempt at chokecherry syrup, we'll see if after it cools off, we'll see if it thickens up or if I should have added a package of pectin to it. The good news is I'm just out my sugar. It'll make a nice juice, if nothing else, I guess, huh? Sweet juice. If this doesn't work as syrup. And I still have about 3 more batches worth of chokecherries to practice on until I can get this perfected. But I'm hoping that this will thicken up as it cools off. I'm sure it will thicken up a little bit at least as it cools off. But I got to get it into jars and get it sealed up, get it water bath done on it. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the heat off now, and it's not an exact science from what I am to understand. But I'm going to get this jarred up now. That will be the next process. Wish me luck. And I'm leaving about a 1-inch headspace on this, which means that line right there. And wiping the lid off with the vinegar rag. As best I can so that they will hopefully seal. Get a lid. And a ring. It is hot, hot, hot. And then I'll put this in the water bath. And then a little Get another jar out of the oven. Try not to put it in my drips, because I have drips everywhere. We'll move the funnel over. Try not to make too much of a mess. And that's really hard for me to do because I am a very messy cook. Very, very messy. There we go. Gets me my 1-inch head space. Find another spot on here. Hot. I'm just kind of doing this so that I'm not setting the funnel and the cup down, because that just makes it even more messy. But I don't want the jars to cool off too much. Before I put them in the water bath. So just kind of do a routine. Just keep going with it. Yikes. Get one more jar out. Just do it again. You can hear the water in the water bath starting to boil, so that's a good sign. There's that jar done. There's that. Grabbing the wrong side there, huh? That'll be enough of that. Like I said, I'm I'm a very messy cook. Those are all my droplets. I have one jar that won't fit into my water bath. I could just leave it and do water bath on it afterwards. I've seen this technique used before by other people, where they just flip it upside down while it's still really hot for about 10 minutes, and then they'll flip it back over and whether this seals or not, this will be the first jar that I use, and it'll just be stored in the fridge because I just don't trust that I'm doing this the correct way. So, but this is one of the tricks that I've seen other people use to get things to seal. I'd be surprised if it does seal, but I will find out. So my big pot, this is the biggest pot I have, and it is full up to an inch. Whew, that's hot. It's the problem with, it's not an actual canning pot, but it is an inch over the top of those jars, and it was able to make 6 quarts and 1 pint. Well, 2 pints if you count this one over here. And then I have a mess to clean up that I will be sure to get done here really soon before it gets all dried up and really, really sticky. It's already sticky enough with all the sugar that you add into it. But that is the next task. And I will let this water bath for 15 minutes. So once this starts boiling again, I'll start my timer. 15 minutes. Make sure they're all good and sealed. And, that will be perfect. And I will, hopefully by then, I will have my mess cleaned up. Okay, here's the jars. Still warm. Just pulled them out of the water bath. Don't want to touch them too much. Still hot. And that one, if you recognize it, it's a Classico, one of the Atlas mason jars. This one is the one that I didn't get in the water bath, but it is already sealed. A couple of these others have already sealed. That one is yet to seal. See if I can tell which ones. I heard 2 pings so far already. So I think this one, and I believe that one. They're both sealed. But the syrup looks really nice. This is the cooled down version of the syrup right here. So it is definitely thicker than water. Definitely thicker than the juice. I think it's going to be perfect. I'll try to move that to a position where you can see it a little bit better. This was just what wouldn't fit in the jars. But that, I believe that's going to be just about perfect. I maybe could have let it boil for another 5 or 6 minutes. Make it a little thicker. I might do that with the next batch and just let it boil for 20 minutes and see if that makes it a little bit thicker, because I like my syrup kind of thick. But I do believe it's going to turn out just fine. It tastes excellent. So, so there's my first attempt at some chokecherry syrup, and I believe it turned out perfect. There was one of the jars just sealed. So I'm very happy with it. It does take quite a bit of work to get it this far. All of the different steps you have to go through to get the chokecherries into syrup form. But as far as I'm concerned, it is well worth it. And by the way, that is my week number 29 for the $1 a day preps. because the sugar that I bought was my week 29 $7. I'll have to see if I can find the receipt so I can show you what I did. So there's the receipt for the sugar, 10 pounds of sugar, $6.69, 17 cents tax. So my balance was $6.86. Remember from week number 28, I had $1.04 left over. So then add in week number 29's $7. That gives me $8.04. I spent $6.86 out of that. So that will carry over into $1.18 for next week. It'll carry into week number 30. So, and this, I'm not going to say I paid anything for the chokecherries because me and Marissa and Kara went and picked those ourselves. Bushes that didn't cost us anything. Just went over, visited my brother, and picked the berries while we were there. So even the trip over there didn't cost us anything because we were going to go visit him anyway. So I am not going to add in any charge for that. But I think that if you can forage from the side of the road or from friends' houses, that's another way to help your $1-a-day preps go even farther, because this is a lot of syrup compared to going and buying syrup in the store. For $7, I was able to get 6 quarts and 2 pints so of syrup, and I have a little bit left over just for sampling. Yep, that's going to be week number 29 for my $1-a-day preps. Remember, start preparing, keep preparing, so that you will be prepared if the need ever arises. Set food aside for the bad times. Now I'm going to go have some delicious chokecherry syrup. So the chokecherry syrup turned out really well. Really happy with that. Seems like it thickened up a little bit thicker than I thought it was going to, so it should work out just fine. And that would be my week number 29 prep. Just because I had bought the sugar I had bought it for that purpose, the sugar, and then I just wasn't feeling good for a while, so I did not get a chance to make the chokecherry syrup until today. I'm glad I'm feeling better. Had the energy and desire to get that done, get the chokecherry juice out of my fridge and into the jars. Other than that, I'm going to let you go. Thank you for watching this edition of Not So Remote Alaska, and may God bless and keep each and every one of you. And with that, I'm out. Thank you very much.